Urban Therapy with Sun 752. This is your daily go-getterism number 955 for May 15, 2017. Tonight I want to talk to y'all about empty nest, the empty nest prevention, and dealing with the empty nest syndrome. The empty nest syndrome is when your kids go off to college or to the military, basically when they turn 18 years old and they're about to leave the home. Normally the empty nest symbolizes that there are no other children left there. But for some parents, they're so attached to all of their children that even when one of them leaves, even if they have other children that are still left, it still weighs heavily on them. And it's a tough thing to deal with for a lot of parents. It's a really emotional time. I mean, when you take into consideration what it means when your child is leaving the home. You know, when your child is leaving the home, you know, they are finally getting ready to become full-fledged adults. They're about to start making their own decisions. They're about to start paying their own bills. Well, these are the things that are associated with being an adult. And if your child is about to embark on these things, it's a really life-changing experience, not only for the child, but for you as a parent as well. And not every parent handles this with grace. You know, some kick and yell and scream and holler and worry and stress themselves out. People have made themselves sick over this thing. It's real. And like I said, it doesn't even matter if there are still children left in the home that need to be cared for and taken care of and provided for and still need love and attention and affection and guidance and teaching and all that kind of stuff. But it's something else. You know, when your babies aren't babies anymore, and even though y'all might fight like cats and dogs, and you might have to sometimes physically punish them or put them on restriction and punishment and take things away from them and buy them things and kiss and make up and fight and fuss again and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't mean fight physically. Now wait a minute now. Because if it's ever a situation where a child feels comfortable putting their hands on a parent, yeah, we have some really, really deep problems that need to be handled. So we're not talking about that. But so when I say fight and fuss, I mean, violent arguments. In other words get said that hurt feelings. And that's about the extent of what I mean by that. So in order to stop this empty nest syndrome from kicking into high gear, some parents have employed some tactics that seem a little childish, but hey, you know what, man? Love will make you do some crazy things, and it ain't always it's not always from a romantic perspective. So let's say your child is going away to college. Some parents will request that the child only go to a local college somewhere in the immediate area. And they may not express the real reason for them wanting them to go to a local college. They may say that the reason that they want them to go to a local school is because that way it'll be cheaper in-state tuition, and times are hard, money is tight and all of that, and we still have other children. That could be the case. So they try to work it out that way. And the child may go for it and the child may not. Because not every child is really ready to go out there and spread their wings and fly. And another thing is, not every child is on their way to college. Some of our children are on their way to, or should I say, some of our young adults are on their way to the military. Some of our young adults have decided to enter the workforce. Some of our young adults are ready to travel the world. They're pursuing their dreams. Maybe they're interested in entertainment or something like that. And maybe they're good at something, athletics, whatever the case may be. They're ready to go. Some are ready to go and some aren't. Some are ready to stay right there in the home. So you don't really have to do a whole lot of convincing them, because maybe they've never had an after school job or have never had to be self-sufficient. Maybe not even know how to wash their own clothes. So they may not be ready to be adults. So I guess for the adult that's not ready for the child to be an adult, and for the child who is supposed to be be becoming a young adult is not ready to become a full-fledged young adult. So in that case, the empty nest syndrome is not an issue. But in other areas where the child may be ready to get away from home, they may be ready to spread their wings, fly, get a taste of that freedom, be able to stay out all night, not have a curfew, maybe not have to get their homework checked, you know, and if the parent is screaming, stay home, stay home, stay home, and the child is like, no, I'm going, not only am I going to college far away, I'm going all the way on the West Coast, and we live on the East Coast, or I'm going down south, I'm going out in the Midwest, wherever it is, it's going to take you at least 5 to 10 hours to get there by car. And so it can be devastating to a parent. And I'm on the side of the parents because it's a tough thing watching your babies grow into young women and men, and it's devastating. Something that you raised from the cradle, held the baby in your arm, and now they ready to go and they out, and you have to pay for it sometimes. Now, if they're going to the military, that's a really tough one because there's no guarantee that they're going to make it. I mean, that's just the reality of joining the armed forces. You could be summoned to go into battle, in the war, and you could be killed. That's just the reality of it. That's what adulthood means in the military. It means that you can die. You have to register for selective service in order to get student loans and grants and things in order to go to college. I remember when I turned 18, it was tough. Like knowing that, I had to register for that draft. Now, nobody has gotten drafted in this country since the 60s. No, the 70s with Vietnam, but early 70s. Anyway, for the parents that are going through this empty nest syndrome thing, my hats are off to you, and my heart lies with you because I know that it can be tough, but you got to buck up. You do have to buck up because it's time for your children to shine, and if they're ready to put forth the effort to get out there and do their thing, and if you've instilled the good stuff in them, believe me, it comes out. It may not come out while you are watching. It doesn't always come out on your watch. But you can best believe that the good things that you've told them, the good things that you've instilled in them, all of the great things that you've shown them, the manners, the kindness, the charity, the generosity, the love, the attention, the caring, all of that stuff manifests itself. And steel, iron sharpens iron, man. Steel sharpens steel. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. Go hard, go for yours. Go hard, go for yours. And remember, empty nest syndrome. Listen, don't cry. Hey, you know what? One thing I want to tell y'all. Some parents require counseling for this. Honestly. Because, your child going away and you being home, a lot of stress and depression and worry and all of that stuff can really kick in. It can really send a parent's emotions into a tailspin. And they can wind up putting that guilt on the child. And you don't want to make that happen. So I would advise anyone who's going through this empty nest syndrome and really, really going through it hard, don't keep it to yourself. Don't try to be tough. Get help. If you work and you have health insurance, get help. Find somebody that you could talk to. Get some counseling to help deal with this. It's nothing to be ashamed of. When your loved one goes away, all kinds of feelings of anxiety and separation anxiety. It's a real thing, separation anxiety. And if you're experiencing that because your child is going away, hey, get some help. I'm all about that. Yo, son, I'm all about that help, yo. The Daily Go Getimism show is every single day, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call in number 319-527-6199. One last thing. One last thing. Try to be as supportive of your children and their dreams, their aspirations as possible. It can be hard sometimes. Sometimes your children want to do all kinds of crazy things now that they're adults. And yes, they may experiment with alcohol and weed and drugs and things like that. But if you have put the good stuff in them, try to keep the lines of communication open, because you have to keep in mind that your young children are now young adults, and they do have the legal power to make their own decisions. So if you want to make sure that you don't push them away, keep the lines of communication open and make sure that they understand that they can still talk to mommy and daddy, so you won't have to be home in your empty nest all bitching and crying and pissing and moaning and calling them and texting them and worrying about them and making yourself sick. Get that help. All right. Okay. All right. blogtalkradio.com/son752. Peace. All right. Empty nest, baby.